Welcome back. Our third episode of Scrub In, powered by Bayhealth. Today we have Stephanie McClellan, who is the manager of the Bayhealth Cancer Institute. And she's going to talk to us about her experience with that, as well as being the current president of the Delaware Nurses Association. And she's also going to talk to us about what it's been like to go back to school and get her Doctor of Nursing Practice degree. So, welcome, Stephanie.
Awesome.
Stephanie.
Thank you guys so much for having me. What an exciting time to be here.
Yeah.
My name is Stephanie McClellan, and I moved to Delaware in 2005. And a couple years into moving, I decided to go back to school and get my nursing degree, and that's how I landed at Bayhealth. I would say I was at the hospital for about 2 weeks, and I decided to go back to school.
Real quick.
For my master's in nursing leadership and management.
Okay.
And really that was like a pivotal time for me. And maybe it was on like day 2. I will give it 2 weeks, but it was pretty soon that I recognized that I wanted to do something bigger than just what I was doing and have a bigger impact than the one that I was having. And I pursued my master's degree, and I would say it took me about 2.5 years to do that. And then I transitioned into a leadership position, informal at first, also at the hospital, and then into a formal leadership position, and became a single mom during that time. It was very interesting for me because I'll call it pivotal. Mm-hmm. So I'm in a leadership position, and I'm trying to lead people, right? And I'm trying to lead my house and kind of like learn a new way of living. And I really dug in deep to figure out what I really wanted to do with my life and where I wanted to be and where I wanted to make the biggest impact. And I decided to go back to school again. And I pursued a master's degree in business. And the reason that I did that was because I recognized that the impact that I was having could be larger if I expanded my horizons and did something bigger than what I was doing. At the time that I was around degree completion, I transitioned from the inpatient world to the outpatient world. And it was actually a great transition for me because it gave me like real world experience with my business degree to actually put into practice a lot of the things that I had learned in schooling, and on the outpatient side is where I actually graduated with that degree. Couple years in, and COVID happened, right? So in 2020, I was approached about the Delaware Nurse Association, the president position. And I kind of said, I don't know that I really want to do that. Who's going to vote for me, right? Because you have to get voted into that position. And I had been very active with the Delaware Organization for Nursing Leadership, and I had been on the board for many years, and had a presence kind of across the state, but was still really looking for like, where is the niche? Where do I feel like I can make the biggest impact beyond my day-to-day work, beyond what I was doing at home with my kids? And I said, sure, I'll run, and we'll see what happens, right? So I'm on the board for the Delaware Organization for Nursing Leaders. I'm active in the community. I'm active at my church. I had just finished my master's in business. COVID had just happened. I was trying to homeschool my children and do a good job as a nurse, and I got voted in as the president.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Is it awesome?
I know.
I
feel you there.
And so when I got voted in as the president, I got access to things that I had not gotten access to before because it just had never been in my wheelhouse of what I could see or touch or feel as a nurse. And we had a Hill Day that was virtual, because it's during COVID. And I remember being on this virtual meeting and interacting with legislators and thinking, I have to do something about this. Mm-hmm. And if I don't do it, who will? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you boil the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. Like, a little bit at a time. Nobody boils the ocean all at once. And I talked to my parents about it, and I said, I think I'm going to go back to school and pursue a doctorate. And they were like, what? Why? Why would you want to do that? What is wrong with you? And really my mindset at the time was, I'm never going to be able to achieve what I want to achieve if I can't broaden my horizons and my mindset to the things that I don't know, the things that I haven't seen, and I'm not going to get them in the space that I'm in. Mm-hmm. So I had a coworker who also wanted to pursue her doctorate, and I literally said to her, if you do it, I'll do it. And she said, okay. And I went and applied that day for school. That's literally how it happened. I got accepted into the program, and to be honest with you, my life was forever changed. I had no idea what I was signing up for. I had no idea what the program really was going to entail from me. I had no idea how it was going to impact my kids. We were full in a COVID mindset. I didn't know if my kids were going to go back to school. Were they going to be in person? Were they going to be hybrid? Was I still going to be juggling all of these things in life? And I just made the decision, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because it's for the betterment of me. It's for the betterment of the profession. I can use this as a platform to touch people who I'll never be able to impact otherwise. So I did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And for 2 years and a couple weeks, I took my laptop with me everywhere.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I took my laptop with me everywhere, and I did as much as possible with going through education and trying to get as much out of that degree as possible. And at the same time, using the platform of my position as the president to work on a national level to impact different things in nursing that my voice would have never been heard if it hadn't been for that. And I wasn't speaking on behalf of myself. I was speaking on behalf of the nursing profession. Mm-hmm. And that's really how I got to where I am today. My children still think that I'm a doctor, like, going to write prescriptions for them and things like that. I'm like, no, that's not it at all. But I will say it's been life-changing. It's been life-changing for me to go through that journey and see the different things that I saw and get to where I am today. And I'm very proud of that. It was hard. Mm-hmm. I've been in school for about 12 and a half years altogether.
It's quite a long time.
Yeah, it is. But I feel like it's worth it. I feel like what you get out of it in the end, the way your mindset changes and the way your outlook changes, you really can't take it for granted. I would never have had the experiences if it hadn't been for that, if it hadn't been for that journey and those different programs that I chose to take. And I would not be where I am today if it had not been for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So much of that resonates with me because I also got a PhD during COVID with children at home as well, and my family also. Pretty much every degree that I've gotten, they're like, "You've only been a nurse for like a minute.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to go be a nurse midwife and a women's health nurse practitioner?" And I'm like, yes, I want to take care of patients in this way. And but then also I know that at some point I want to teach and I want to educate and lead. And I can't do that with only a bachelor's degree. Yeah. And so I did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then when I went for my PhD, I was already in a faculty position, and my partner had said, like, why do you need a degree? You're already in a faculty position. Yeah. And I said, yeah, but I can't do enough. And I'm finding that I don't have the skill set that I want to use. Mm-hmm. For me, I want to be able to do research, and I want to be able to use that degree in that way. And I said, I feel like I'm missing pieces of the puzzle, and I want to be able to make a bigger impact. Yeah. So, and also during COVID, mm-hmm. I started in fall 2019, and I was traveling to DC on the train. I'd get up and get on the train in Perryville, Maryland at 5 a.m. and be on GW's campus before even the building was open, and I'd do my part, and then I'd be back in time to pick up the kids from aftercare in the afternoon. And you just did it.
Do it. Yep.
Kind of thank God for COVID, mm-hmm. because then I didn't have to travel back and forth as much. But I did take my laptop everywhere, including the playground.
Yeah.
So
there's no other way to get it done.
No. Yes. And it really forces you to to time manage in a different kind of way, which is, but I just commend you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
And you're now one of a small cohort at our organization that has a doctoral degree, that we have doctoral prepared nurses at our organization. And it's it really puts us in a different place.
Yeah,
and
it's so exciting, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. One thing that I will say about my journey is when I was getting my first master's, I was adjuncting at Del Tech. And I was doing clinical 3 North, 3 East, 3 West, 1A, kind of wherever they would place me with students. And it was an interesting place to say, I graduated from Del Tech, and this is what I'm doing because I want to progress the profession. And then the students could see, not only can I graduate from this program and work in any position in healthcare, but I can go back to school and I can be successful and I can use that to transform what I'm doing. And I think that's, like, to your point, it just adds to what you're doing in the profession of nursing. So going back and advancing your degree, it's one way to add to the profession. It adds to your knowledge, obviously, it adds to what you can give to patients, but it really pushes and propels nursing forward. And that's how we create change.
Yeah.
I think that both of your journeys collectively are really going to inspire those that you're teaching and those that you're impacting, because it speaks to how resilient we are as nurses,
Right.
because you have all these other obligations in your lives. You have children, you have families, and you continue to persevere and seek these advanced degrees to make the changes and make the impact.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes.
There were many years early on when my children were really small, I would put them in bed at like 7 o'clock.
Yes.
And you go get on the computer, right? And you're
Yeah.
on the computer for like a couple of hours before you go to bed. But
Yeah.
it's like, when else do you get it done? But it's so important to you that you figure out a way to get it done. And, I'm really proud that my children saw me go through that. And it's a lived experience for them, too, because I hope they pursue nursing, right? Like, I hope they do. But the reality is they may not. But what I am instilling in them right now is that anything that you want to do, you will find a way to get it done. And it can happen. And you have to prioritize what's most important to you in your life. You find a way to figure it out, and you get it done. There was a quote that I heard, and I do not know who said it, but he said, your life is like the ocean, right? And you look across and there could be so many different things that happen, but small boats traverse it all the time. And I think about that for myself, raising children, having a career, working multiple jobs at times, and your life really is like the ocean, and you're just a small part of it that's just going along at any given point, and you're going to make it to the other side, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm one of those little small boats in the oceans of healthcare, right?
Yeah.
The many small boats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm curious. So you had a different degree before you went into nursing?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
What did you do before you were a nurse?
So a couple things. I worked in a dental office and did claims for
Okay.
a couple of years. And then I worked at Bank of America as a loan administrator, actually during the first couple years of nursing school.
Interesting. Okay, so you had a totally, you
Yeah.
really did a 180 when you
Yeah.
came to nursing. What made you go into nursing?
Well, I always wanted to be a physician. I was never going to be a nurse. So I always wanted to help people. I always knew that. My mother was a teacher. My dad was the regional plant manager for Purdue Farms for many years. But their life, the way that they lived their life, I wanted to be like them in some way. And that's kind of what I took from them as I wanted to help people in some way, right? So I did a couple years of undergrad, and my goal was to be a physician. And I knew right away that was never going to happen. It wasn't a good fit for me. And then after I relocated to Delaware, it was more natural to go to nursing school. It felt like a more natural fit, I should say. My very first clinical that I ever had, so I was in Chester County, not Chester County, Chester Hospital in Chestertown, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I don't-
Chester River. I
Yeah,
think.
Chester River,
Yes.
yeah. Was my very first clinical experience ever. And we went to the OR, like we did all kinds of stuff. And I knew from the very first moment I was out on the floor, I made the right decision. It was like almost like I transcended time. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And during my clinical rotations, not that clinical rotation, but another one, I had a patient who passed away, and I took it so personal. Even though I knew I hadn't done anything, I knew I had done everything I could, and the patient still, became deceased during that shift. And it was natural for me. I knew I had made the right decision. I knew I was in the right place. I knew helping people in this way was the right thing to do. I had been at Bayhealth for a very short time, and I worked night shift for the first couple years. And I had a patient that I will never, ever, ever forget. And he was had a very difficult diagnosis. He was a very, very difficult person to take care of. And I was one of the only nurses who would take the assignment because he was so difficult. But I looked at him a little bit differently, and I think it was how I was raised in my background. And I sat down with him one night and said, I understand that I don't know what you're going through, but I see what you're going through, and we're here to help you. And if you would let us, you don't have to be in pain, and you don't have to suffer, and you don't have to go through these things. And his wife just sat there and cried. And he did eventually pass away, but these are the reasons that you have to have the right people at the bedside. And you have to know and understand when it's time to be soft, and when it's time to be hard, and when it's time to say, okay, we're not going to do that today. And that's another reason that nursing is in the profession that nursing is the profession that it is because you have to be so many different people at one time, because you're taking care of different personalities and family dynamics and all of those things. And they help shape and form who you are as a person as well. So you have to be that person coming in knowing, regardless of what I'm faced with today, tomorrow, whatever, I'm going to help the person that's on the other side of that bed. And all of the years that I was in direct patient care, I tried my very best to do that. I'm sure I made mistakes and I was not perfect and probably upset some people, but I went into every day knowing that I'm here to do a job, and my job is to help you. And the way that I help you may be different than how I help you because your needs are different. And, that's kind of a little bit of the background of how I got to where I am, is just that desire to want to help and to want to do something different and to make a difference. And how you make a difference is different depending on the person that you're dealing with, or the situation that you're faced with, or what the challenge is that's in front of you. It's not a cookie cutter.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You definitely have had a mission to serve, kind of, that I think probably came from the way you were raised. And a lot of us, I think, have some of that. I know, Tyler, you've talked about, sitting around the dinner table and listening to your mom and your grandmother and talking about, nursing and wanting to be that person. And so that's really cool. Now, when you are in a service position and you have that heart of service, my kids read that book about filling up your bucket and dipping your bucket. And there are certain things that fill up our buckets. And so I think as nurses, that service can help fill up our bucket, but it can also deplete it a little bit. So what do you do to fill up your bucket? What helps you?
Well, I have a pretty stringent routine on myself. I usually get up like 4:15 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But I do that because it's me time. It's me time. It's my time to work out. It's my time to get centered and to get grounded for the day. And sometimes I'm too tired to work out, and that's okay, but I still get up. I make a pot of coffee. I have some, quiet time, or whatever you want to call it, for yourself. But I've been doing that for about 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I learned pretty early in my nursing career, if I didn't do something for myself, I would have nothing to give. Running was a huge outlet for me for many, many years. I would run anywhere from 5 to 7 miles a day. And, that's the time when I would say to anybody, the whole world is quiet.
Yes.
There's nothing going on during the time that you're running. And sometimes I'm talking to myself and saying, okay, Stephanie, you got this. Today's going to be amazing. And, sometimes I'm talking myself off the ledge, like, don't stop. Keep going, But it's your grounded time. It's your center time. I don't run as much these days because my knees aren't that great. But I have a Peloton and I ride it all the time and I love it. But I still do that time in the morning. I also love to spend time with my kids. My son plays football. My daughter's a cheerleader. And so when we're out there doing their activities, my cup is being filled. I enjoy seeing them happy and seeing them, they're smiling from ear to ear, and just what brings them joy, it brings me joy too. I do read. Not as much as I used to read. Now that I'm done with my doctorate, I like to get back into reading a little bit more. And I mean, those would probably be the three biggest things. I love the beach. I could go there year round and just sit in the sand, even with a blanket and be cold.
That's why a lot of us are here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something calming about just sitting out there and listening to the ocean and just being, life is so full and it's so hectic. It can be so stressful, and you have to have something that just de-stresses you, where you can just exhale, and be grounded and be centered. And so those are probably my biggest things.
I think in nursing, it's so important to have that disconnect
Yeah.
where you just take a moment to breathe, because think of all of the, frankly, traumatic situations that we endure in this profession, the different things that we see, outcomes that may not exactly have gone the way we would have liked them to.
Yeah.
It's really important to be able to take care of yourself. And I think that being in nature and running and being on the beach and listening to the waves, those are those little things that will really recharge your battery, your caregiving battery. And I think that it's important to keep up with that.
Yeah,
especially
I agree
for a
with that.
woman in your position where you have a million things going on. You have kids, you have a family, you have a advanced degree, you're making an impact, you're a leader of a professional organization. You have to have those things.
Yeah. Sometimes I have a little patio out back and just a little couch and a fireplace out there. And sometimes I'll go out there and light the fireplace and the kids are like, "Mom, where are you?" But I'm sitting out back just kind of
just detaching.
Taking it all in. And, the day that I turned in my dissertation, I cried all day long. And one of my coworkers came, and I was at my desk and I'm sobbing. Literally, I'm working and I'm sobbing. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Nothing. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine." But it's a release. And when life is really, really stressful, and our jobs are really, really stressful, right? Caring for people, caring for your staff, caring for your family, it's stressful. Sometimes you have to have that release. And sometimes you can't get it from nature because it's pouring rain outside.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's okay too. That's okay too. It's okay to recognize that I'm at a place in my life right now where I need to take 5 minutes and just cry. Or just go sit in your office and just look at each other for just a few minutes. That is okay to do that too. And having that self-awareness that you need that moment, I think is really, really important, because we are in the profession of going. And no one is telling us to stop. No one's putting up stop signs, waving flags for us. The green light is on all the time. Our business is 24/7. So having that self-awareness of what you need and when it's time to take a pause and when it's time to take a breath is really important too.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you do?
So my fiance and I like to do a bunch of different things. We like to do different activities like bowling.
Oh, fun.
My family has a boat, so we're always out on the boat in the summertime. We'll take a run in Cape Henlopen State Park. Just anything to keep my mind off the hospital. Like you said, you have to release to be able to keep up with that caregiver battery. So we just like to do little fun things like that.
Yeah.
Or we might just stay in and watch a movie, have a glass of wine here and there. It's just a relaxing time for you to just kind of disengage.
Yeah.
And spend time with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's, we could keep serving at all times because that's who we are and that's what we enjoy doing. But it is great to take that time. I am also a runner at 5 a.m. And so the past week I've gotten out a couple of times. We had rain. We're recording this in the first week of October. And so the last week of September, we had a lot of rain here in Delaware. And so I just got back out this week and I can run to the beach and I can see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know. It's fun. It's amazing. But I have made a point of running to the beach in the dark and just smelling the water, smelling that smell and seeing the lighthouse turn just a few times in the dark and knowing that no one else in Lewis is awake or no one else is up and moving until you get closer to to a hospital, and then you start seeing cars move, but it's just that time is so precious. And then my day here at work is just so much more productive because I've had taken that time alone and in quiet time. And I'm more, I'm more willing to be with my kids and my family and all of those things when you take that quiet time. So yeah. Absolutely. Oh, well, that's wonderful. So, you've gotten all these advanced degrees. You've gotten a terminal degree. I'm not going to say you've gotten your last degree because you just never know.
Who knows with you?
I certainly know
Might be
plenty
one or
of
two.
DNPs that have gotten a second DNP or a PhD. So who knows? But what recommendations do you have for someone who is considering going back for another degree?
Well, the first thing I would say is figure out what you really want to do. Life is so full, we do not have time to waste. So what do I mean by that? Do you want to be in healthcare? Do you want to have a business degree? Do you want to have an advanced degree? Are you interested in research? And once you can kind of narrow it down a little bit, then I say jump in, do it. Do not waste any time. And don't sit around thinking about if I should do it. You will have no regrets in progressing your education. There's nothing to regret there. Only good things on the other side. And how do we get to tomorrow? Like, we have to just do the work to get to tomorrow. The degree's not going to come to us. So I would say figure out what you really want to do so you're pursuing the right thing, and then do it. Apply to the school. Don't waste any time. You don't need buy-in from everybody and their brother and Instagram and Facebook. This is your life, not theirs.
Yeah.
And I would say chase your dreams. No one is going to chase your dreams for you. And they're your dreams for a reason. They're the things that your heart and your passion is after. And then your cup will be full. And you will have no regrets.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we're almost out of time. Is there anything else that you want to share with us, with our audience?
Let me think about that one. I would just say that live life with no regrets.
Yeah.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Do what you want to do today. And if an opportunity presents itself, take it.
Yeah.
And, the world is your oyster, right? Go after it. And, pursue the things that are right for you and right for your family. And nobody else can tell you what those things are.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And it can be done, as
And it can be
exemplified
done.
by you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yep. Well, to your point, there will be obstacles and there will be challenges. But once you make up your mind that you're going to do something, you do it, you find a way. So chase your dreams. I tell every single one of my employees now that. Chase your dreams.
Chase your dreams, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Join us for our next episode by subscribing to this podcast and telling your friends to do the same.
Click plus or follow so you don't miss an episode. Don't forget to keep up with us all on social media channels by following @Bayhealth.
And remember, there is a why behind every healthcare uniform.